Hi, I'm Laura. Today I'm sharing the story of Emily, a tale of betrayal and standing up for oneself. The original title was, My Family Rented Out My Beach House Behind My Back. I waited for them to book it for a wedding with 100 guests, changed the locks, and signed my own lease agreement. A week before the wedding, my mother called, frantic. We could end up in jail. Well, here's what happened. My name is Emily, and I'm 34 years old. I work as a client relations supervisor for a software firm, and I've built a solid career. My salary is decent, and I've saved enough to invest in some meaningful things. 3 years ago, I made a dream come true. I bought a coastal cottage. The cottage sits on a stunning stretch of shoreline. From the main room, you can see the sea sparkling, and there's a cozy porch where I love to sip tea and listen to the waves. It's not a mansion, but it's ideal for weekend retreats and holidays. I've spent nearly every other weekend there for the past few years, escaping the chaos of city life. My parents, Robert and Margaret, are in their mid-60s. Dad was a carpenter until his knees gave out, and now he relies on a pension. Mom works part-time at a local bookstore, but their income is tight. When I bought the cottage, I gave them a spare key and said they could visit anytime. They were overjoyed. Dad even got misty-eyed, which is rare for him. They started using the place about once a month, sometimes joined by my younger sister, Chloe, and her husband, Ethan. Chloe, 29, is a receptionist at a medical clinic and has always been the bolder of us two, though she often expects handouts. Ethan's all right, I suppose. He works at a shipping depot, and they're always grumbling about finances. They've been married for 4 years and visit the cottage with my parents every few months. Everything worked smoothly at first. My parents would call after their stays, gushing about the cottage. Emily, this place is a blessing, Mom would say. It's our little haven, you're such a wonderful daughter. It warmed my heart, like I was making a real difference with my success. Then, about 18 months ago, things shifted. A recruiter reached out with a career-defining opportunity. A role as client services director at a major tech firm, offering nearly double my current pay, plus top-tier benefits like health coverage and a robust retirement plan. The catch: the job was in Seattle, Washington, and I live in North Carolina. Moving across the country was a big decision. After weeks of weighing my options, I knew I couldn't pass it up. It was a rare chance to level up my career. I called my parents to share the news. That's incredible, sweetheart, Mom said. You've earned this. But when I mentioned possibly selling my apartment and the cottage to afford a home in Seattle, there was a long pause. Emily, Mom said, her tone shifting, could you maybe keep the cottage? It's become so special to us. We'd hate to lose it. Dad chimed in. We could look after it for you, keep it in good shape. It means the world to us. Their words tugged at me. They were getting older and their lives weren't easy. The cottage was a luxury they'd never had before. How could I take that away? All right, I said, I'll keep it. You can still use it. Their relief was palpable. Oh, thank you, darling, Mom said. You're a lifesaver. So I sold my apartment and moved to Seattle with just that money. Instead of buying a house as planned, I settled for a nice condo. It's comfortable, but if I'd sold the cottage too, I could have afforded a home with a garden. Still, hearing how much my parents loved the cottage made it feel worthwhile. My new job was everything I'd hoped. Better pay, better perks, and room to grow. I spoke with my parents every few weeks, and they'd rave about their cottage visits. We were there last weekend, Mom would say. Chloe and Ethan joined us, it was perfect. I'd smile and say, I'm glad you're enjoying it. For a year this went on. I was thriving in Seattle, building a new life. I missed the cottage sometimes, but knowing my family cherished it kept me content. I covered the property taxes and utilities, not cheap, but I thought it was worth it for their joy. Then, a phone call flipped everything upside down. It was from Karen, the realtor who helped me buy the cottage. We'd kept in touch with occasional emails. Hey, Emily, how's Seattle? I've got a question about your cottage, she said. I saw it listed for rent online by someone named Chloe. I thought you might have asked her to manage it, but the listing makes it sound like she owns it. My stomach dropped. Chloe, my sister. Can you send me the listing? Karen texted me the link, and when I opened it, I felt sick. It was my cottage. Every photo showed the rooms and furniture I'd chosen. Chloe's contact info was plastered at the top. The listing offered the cottage for weekend rentals, vacations, and events, charging $350 per night, more for holidays or special bookings. The reviews, dozens of them going back at least 8 months, made my blood boil. Amazing stay, Chloe was so easy to work with. The ocean views are unreal, wrote one guest. Another said, spent New Year's here, pure magic. Chloe made everything seamless. New Year's. My family said they'd spent it at the cottage, not that they'd rented it out. The worst was a review hinting at a future event. This place would be perfect for our wedding. Chloe said it's available for big gatherings. We're excited to plan with her. I was shaking with rage. My sister was profiting off my property and my parents were in on it, lying to me every time we talked. I called Mom to test her. Hey, I'm thinking of visiting the cottage next week for a break, I said. Silence. Then, oh, Chloe and Ethan are there. They needed a getaway. Lies. I checked Chloe's rental calendar while we talked. The cottage was booked by someone named Thompson for the week. Maybe the week after, I pressed. I'm not sure. Talk to Chloe, Mom stammered, clearly eager to end the call. I let her go, my anger growing. I called Karen back. This is unbelievable, I said. I'm paying all the bills and they're making money off my place. Karen was blunt. Emily, this is illegal. They're stealing from you. You could sue. I didn't want to go that far. They were family. Can you find out when it's booked next? I asked. Maybe I can confront them with proof. Karen agreed to dig through her network. For 2 weeks I stewed, thinking about how I could have bought a house if I'd sold the cottage. Karen called back with a bombshell. Chloe booked the cottage for a wedding, 100 guests in a month. They're charging thousands. My anger turned cold and focused. They weren't just renting my place, they were running a business with it. Karen, find me long-term tenants, I said. I want them in before this wedding. 2 weeks later, Karen found a couple, Michael and Lisa, freelancers who wanted to rent the cottage for 6 months. I flew to North Carolina without telling anyone, drove to the cottage, and had a locksmith change all the locks. I met Michael and Lisa with Karen, explained the situation, and they signed the lease that day, 6 months paid up front. We're not fazed by drama, Lisa said. We love this place. I gave them my contact info and flew back to Seattle. 2 days later, my phone exploded with calls from Chloe, Dad, and Mom. I let them go to voicemail. Texts flooded in. Chloe, Emily, what's going on? Our keys don't work. Dad, there are strangers in your cottage. Mom, we went to prep for guests and people are living there. I ignored them, letting them panic. That night, Mom called again and I answered. Emily, who are these people? She demanded, frantic. My tenants, I said coolly. I rented out my cottage. But you said we could use it, she protested. Use it, not profit from it. I know about Chloe's rental scheme, Mom. The website, the reviews, the wedding for 100 people. Silence. Then we can explain. Were you going to tell me about the wedding? I asked, more silence. We needed money, she admitted. You're doing so well we thought you wouldn't care. Wouldn't care, I snapped. I've been paying taxes, utilities, everything, while you've been pocketing thousands. She admitted they'd booked the wedding for $6,000. We already spent the deposit, she said. If we can't deliver, they'll sue. That's your problem, I said. Please, Emily, she begged, crying. The tenants can't leave for one weekend. No, I said and hung up. The calls and texts continued. Chloe accusing me of ruining their lives, Dad saying Mom was a wreck, Mom warning about lawsuits. I ignored them and slept soundly for the first time in weeks. The next morning, Mom left a voicemail. The wedding party demanded their $6,000 deposit plus a $3,000 cancellation fee, $9,000 total. We don't have that, she sobbed. Please help, I called her back. I'm not paying $9,000 for your lies, I said. You should have thought about this before renting out my property. This is punishment, she asked. No, it's me protecting what's mine. I blocked their numbers. A week later, my Aunt Linda, Mom's sister, called. Your parents say you cost them $9,000, she said. I told her everything. That's awful, she said. They made it sound like you were just cruel. It felt good to be understood. Days later, Mom called from a new number, sobbing. We're in deep trouble. We took out a $9,000 credit card advance at 25% interest. We'll lose everything, our home, our car. She begged for help, saying, You're our daughter. And you're my parents, I said. Parents don't lie or steal from their kids. I reminded her of the gift I'd given them, free access to a valuable property, and their greed in return. You could have asked for help, I said. She had no response. I hung up resolute.